So, hi everyone, this is Shawnee. Welcome to my vlog behind my blog. My blog is called Shawnee's Writing over on blogspot.com. And this is the vlog behind the blog where I go behind the scenes and give you guys additional information to my blog post. So, this particular episode is a rewind of sorts because I went through my playlist over on YouTube and I realized that there was a video missing from the series. I wrote a blog back in July about where I had been, like what was my hiatus about, why was I missing, because I had been pretty consistent and then I fell off. And I explained that I took a second job outside of my home. So the first thing I want to address is if you are an entrepreneur, you have a job. You have a job. And what I've discovered is when I don't feel like I have a job, first of all, there are a couple external factors that end up making me feel like I don't have a job. If money is slow, if I'm in a down season, if I'm not making the money I want to make, that tends to leave me feeling like I'm not working, I'm not being productive, I don't have a job. And I have like 2 or 3 business coaches that I listen to and go to for advice. And one of the things they always say is, if you have a business that's not making money, you just have a hobby. And if you're working it like a job and it's not making money, you have a jobby. And I don't want that for me. So with that in mind, it's very, very hard when I'm not. I can tend to be money driven. Let's just lay it out there. I can tend to be money driven. In my household, if first of all, I never wanted to be like a kept woman, so to speak, and I never wanted to be that woman where my husband provides all my needs and I don't have a job or a skill set to where I am or am able to provide for myself. I really wanted to like have my own savings and my own checking account and all the things, right? And that's not to say that there's a problem with women who feel the exact opposite or who live the exact opposite. That's no shade toward you all. It was just partially like that's how I grew up. I grew up with women who had jobs, who made their own money, who didn't rely on a man to take care of all their needs. And most of it was because they had to. And so throughout my journey, I've had to realize that I am not living the lifestyle I grew up in. I'm not in a lifestyle where I'm a single mom and I have to get it out the mud, and whether or not I have a man, it's all on me. You know, whether or not I'm dating, it's all on me. That's not my testimony. My testimony is that I am a married mother of 2. My kids are well taken care of. And I'm honestly in a very blessed position that it is my choice whether or not I am working anything other outside of running my home. So I had to go through this process of like detaching the lifestyle I actually live from the lifestyle that I actually grew up in. And I found that to be very difficult. I found that a lot of my identity I had attached to whether or not I was consistently bringing in income, if any at all. And if I wasn't working a job that people could identify as a job, that I didn't consider myself working. which was a great disservice to me because the organization and the management of running a household, number one, is very vital work. It's very vital work. And um, it helps build and maintain the heart and soul of a home. So it does me no good to like downplay the work that I do as a wife and a mother. That's first. The second thing is that no great business is rushed or built overnight. And at some point, you have to come to terms with what's the primary purpose of you running a business? Are you doing it for the fact that you're purposed and called to do it, or are you doing it to make money? Because the money is going to come and go. We go through recessions, we go through inflation, we go through droughts, and then we go through eras of surplus. And I know in this country, in the US, it doesn't feel like we've had an era of surplus in a very long time, but it does happen. So money is not or should not be the sole purpose of starting or running a business, to make money, so to speak. So it should definitely be a part of it, because we don't want to have wasted energy, but we do need to admit that it shouldn't be the primary focus of doing so. And I had to have a real come to Jesus moment about that, because in running on my purpose, there's something to be said about when you don't keep your purpose in front of you, when you put more attention on what you're doing than why you're doing it, right? So I lost that. The truth is, I lost that. And I wanted to contribute to the financial success of my household. And I said, okay, most of why we're behind right now is due to me having to go to the hospital for COVID. I don't know if you guys are paying attention to this in the United States, but going to the hospital is not cheap. It is a bill that you need to pay. It does show up on your credit score. So I wanted to just, make sure that I was contributing to getting those bills up and running and like get them cleared out so that we can like really do the things we want to do financially. And I decided, okay, I am going to go and get a job, period. And I was resolute about this. I had parameters in place about what the job could be, should be. I knew it was not going to be fast food. No shade, no tea toward those who work in fast food, but I am 37 years old, and I'm just not in a place where working in fast food is going to work for me anymore. And so I've done my fast food days, and that season of my life is over. So and plus I cook here at home, so I don't want to cook at work and at home, thus the fast food days of my life being over. So my parameters were that it had to be in my gifting, my anointing, or in my degree, right? So my degree is in communications, journalism as the concentration. I am a graduate student for marriage and family therapy. I have a certification in faith-based clinical therapy, and I have an anointing and a calling to teach. So if it wasn't in one of those 4 areas, I didn't want it. And I wasn't looking for it. And so I put out the word to my closest friends, and I let them know, like, I'm in the market, I'm looking. And so I ended up with a job at a local daycare to my community. As a matter of fact, it was the daycare that my children came through, the preschool academy that my children came through. And I felt like I could trust them as a company, and I thought it was going to be a great experience. And for the most part, it was an okay experience. However, the thing that ultimately took me out was my heart disease issues. And I actually didn't know this until well after I wrote the blog and well after I resigned from my position. But I spoke with my cardiologist, and I told my cardiologist what I had been experiencing as far as like constantly getting sick. Um, and I'm a real spiritual person, so like I'm already thinking like, okay, I'm getting sick every week because I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not supposed to be here. Like this is my body telling me that not only is this something I don't want to do, this is not something I should be doing, right? So I'm coming up with all of these psychosomatic symptoms, or so I'm assuming, and I check in with my cardiologist because I had an upcoming appointment anyway. It just so happened that it had already been scheduled for after I left. And my cardiologist said, yeah, I didn't know how to tell you when you first took the job because you sounded so excited and you had really good reasons to be there, and I couldn't refute your logic, which my logic at the time was, well, if I need to lose weight, I need to live a more active lifestyle, and what's more active than running after kids all day? And my cardiologist said I didn't know how to refute your logic back then because you seemed so excited. I didn't want to discourage you, but children are sick all the time and you're immune compromised because of your heart disease issues. Now, for those of you who don't know, when I contracted COVID over a year ago now, because it's September 12th. So this time last year, I had been out of the hospital maybe 4 days. Right. And so when I left the hospital, I had been diagnosed with heart disease, with a heart that was only working at 40% capacity or 40% efficiency. And it was actually less than that, actually. And then I was diagnosed with diabetes. And prior to, I was pre-diabetic, but I was in the process of losing weight. I was on track. Everything was going good. I was really excited. And then COVID. And it was like all the effort that I just put in, like, went out the window. And so now we're starting over again from a full-blown set of circumstances. And so my cardiologist proceeds to tell me, he's like, yeah, since everything that happened last year, and because your heart is working at a lesser capacity, you are immune compromised, which means the kids coming in sick was a great risk to you. And he said, I know you don't necessarily feel this way right now, but leaving that particular position is the best thing you could have done. He was like, I would highly recommend that you stay active around your house, around your neighborhood, in the gym, all the other things that you've been doing until your heart is working at a 75% or better capacity. Then if you want to revisit working with children, you should do that. So I didn't know that. I didn't know that my body was really telling me like, hey, this is not the move. And so that's honestly where I was when while I was gone from the blog. Working with the kids was tiring. When I tell you I would come home, I would work anywhere from a 4-hour to an 8-hour shift, get my kids from school, come home, make dinner, sit here in this office and do my lesson plans for either the next day or the next week. And I had to deal with all types of fast changing environments at work. And I had to constantly try to figure out, okay, like what is the best way for me to work here and feel motivated to work here, because I had already been haunted by this great resignation that had been happening, like this trend of these young people all over TikTok and social media like putting their management on blast and doing it in a very public manner and quitting, right? And I didn't want to be a part of that. Like in my entire work history, other than one job, um, I had never worked less than a year on any position I was in. And so I didn't want to be, lumped in with that group. I really, really believe in like giving your best effort in anything that you approach. And that said, when I resigned, I had to come back and really evaluate, like, have I been giving my best effort as an entrepreneur? Like, when I worked this second job, I had to be there on time. I had to be there prepared. There was a level of planning that was involved, and I had to think like, okay, all of my business leaders have told me that systems have to be in place in order for my business to work and run and, be successful. Am I really doing it though? And I had to really like consider, okay, but would my business be doing better if I was actually working the systems that are in place for my business to thrive and grow and actually help people? Am I being present? And thinking back on it, like that evaluation plays a major factor into why I am hard pressed to not accept sickness in my life anymore. And it's not just about declaring that I won't be sick anymore. It's about, what am I eating? Am I eating living foods that, inspire my body to live, that regenerate growth in my cells and feed me fuel and energy? Am I eating for fuel, or am I eating, as Noom would put it, a fog, eating to escape? So I don't want to be sick anymore because I want to be purposefully productive. When I get on here and I speak, I want for you guys to get information that is helpful, that is transformative, even things that you woke up and you needed to hear this today. Like, that's what I want to do. And there's a comfortability that you find in sickness where that pillow feels extra cozy, that blanket feels extra warm, and you have an excuse not to have to work as hard, right? Because your body just can't do it. But my body can do it. My body can do it. And yes, it can do it within limits, but that doesn't mean I can't do it at all. So I have to, number one, be aware of what my limitations are, right? And make sure that I'm respecting the boundaries that my body is setting right now. My body's boundary right now is that it's not going to go over 45% capacity, which is a blessing because that's way, way up from the 30% that I left the hospital with, right? So I'm almost back at 50% capacity, and I thank God for that. I'm so grateful for that progressive healing, but it is yet and still a boundary that my body is respecting. It's setting, and I need to respect that. But it's not zero, thank God. It's not zero, which means I can do things. 45% is better than zero. So I'm going to resolve to make sure I hit that 45%, or at least that 40%. You don't want to completely max out. So respecting my body's boundaries, but also literally working within my body's boundaries. Am I planning for the days where I do just need to rest. I've decided that the first week of the month needs to be the week where I'm prepping posts for the rest of the month. Just general marketing posts. I can at least do that. General marketing, very basic level marketing about, what websites I need you guys to visit, what I'm doing over in Patreon, just things of that nature, and making sure that you guys still get interaction even if I need to take a day off, right? And I'm relying more on my podcast partner out of Ohio. Shout out to Janelle. She's been holding it down for Therapy is for Me podcast during the last 2 weeks that I was sick, and then the additional week that we needed for just bereavement because we lost a very dear uncle to us. So she's been holding it down, but I also had to learn to speak up and say, hey, I'm gonna need you in this area because this is what's going on. And and thank God for just building a really good team. Janelle and I make a really awesome team, and my husband is doing his part on the tech side, communicating with him better about what I need him to do behind the scenes of tech. And we have a shared document over on Google where I'd let him know, like, this is what I need for this month on this website. This is the page. This is the links that I need to make sure are up and running. And so delegating to my team right now it has been a beautiful, beautiful thing. And even my cousin, well, she's my cousin in love, but Andrea, she keeps me accountable with my graduate work. And so she's volunteered to step up and help me as far as like things that I need for going back to school again, and possibly transferring. So that's the again part, is that I'm possibly transferring. And so because she's so close to being finished with her practicum, like, she's like reaching back for me, and I appreciate that so much. So it's like, okay, I do have a team, and if I have a team, that means that I need to be stepping up. Not only do I have a team, I have an audience. I've heard Patrice Washington say, whether it's an audience of 1 or 1,000, you have an audience. And I have an audience. If I look on my YouTube page and I see that I have subscribers, it doesn't matter if it's 1 or 1 million, I have an audience. I've heard Kevin Fredericks, Kev on Stage, he said, it's better to have a faithful 10 than 1 million who barely watch you or don't support you or don't contribute to you, that show up every now and then. It's better to have a consistent 10. It's better to have a consistent 100. So even if it's only 10, even if it's 100, like, I have an audience, and I owe it to you all to show up and let God use me to pour out what he has for all of us. Because most of the time when I'm speaking to you guys, like, God is speaking through me. And so there are some portions of what I'm saying that I don't know what I'm going to say before I say it. I just say whatever God tells me to say in the moment. And then I press stop on the record. And through the editing process, when I go to edit, for the full post or whatever, I hear things that could have only been God. I didn't rehearse that. I didn't write that down. I didn't pre-plan that. Like, God said it in the moment, and it was not just for you all. It was for me. Sometimes God will say what he needs to say to you, through you. So I have to show up for my audience, because there are things that need to be said that God wants to say, and also that I sometimes need to hear myself, right? So there is something to be said for showing up for your audience. The time will come where the money is consistent, but it's going to be a no every single time if I don't show up. 100% no for 100% of when I don't show up. And God always gives me little signs that being more consistent is the key. When I show up in my private groups for parents and professionals of autistic children, or even in my couples group for neurodiverse couples, when I show up and I make a post and local, like this last time, local radio host reached out to me to either say it on the air or allow him to say it on the air. That was so encouraging to me, because it was like, I showed up, I stepped up, and I'm getting a response. I'm gaining some traction. But that doesn't happen if I don't show up. So the money that I took the second job for, which is ironic because the director of the daycare, she said, if you're only coming in for the money, then don't take the job, right? And I had convinced myself, and I said this in the article, in the blog post, I convinced myself, like, no, I have multiple reasons for taking this job. But at the end of the day, no, I didn't. Because I have a whole full-fledged business to run. The only component that was missing is that I haven't yet made the money I want to make, and I wanted to make it faster. Thus, the second job. Now, there is something to be said about having income come in from multiple streams of income, but there's also something to be said for overextending yourself and for getting out of alignment. And in taking that second job, I had to admit that I was out of alignment. My focus should be everything that has been built on my gifts, my talents, and my service. And so, yes, I resigned from the position. Yes, I learned a lot. But yes, I am now in a position that I absolutely love. And it is to continue to build the empire that God has given me, to continue to create inside the world that God has given me, which I believe God has given each of us a world where we create. If God said that He's made us in His image and in His likeness, He created a world. You have worlds to create. So that's where I've been, and this is where I am, focusing on my autistic families, my autistic couples, my neurodiverse couples, focusing on my blog, focusing on this YouTube channel, my vlog, Behind the Blog, and being happy to focus on my marriage and my family and my volunteer work. And I'm pretty sure there's some other stuff that I'm doing that I haven't really said yet. My podcast and my fiction books that I'm writing. So I got a lot of work to do. It takes teams and systems, but it takes more than anything showing up and believing in myself. And if you're experiencing this, let me know in the comment section below. Like, if you felt like you needed to step away from your entrepreneurship endeavors because it wasn't making money fast enough, or if you felt like you just needed the money quicker, faster, but you realized that that's not the way to do it, because you're not going to make money fast doing something you're not motivated to do. It's just not going to happen. Let me know in the comment section what your experience has been, and I look forward to seeing you in the next post. Bye.